Good evening, everybody. All right, we've seen a definite change today. We've seen one of your most strongest reversal signals, which is a left-right combo. Those of you that took the training session this weekend should remember that the left-right combo is right up on the very top of the list as far as showing you a definite reversal. So if you're looking at this chart, and we know all the elements of hoppiness, look, we had a gap up shooting star in the overbought condition. Indecisive trading kept us above the T-line, but we didn't get to a new high when we saw another sell signal, a bearish left-right combo. And the bearish left-right combo closed below the T-line. So what should you be thinking from what you know about candlestick analysis? When they gap up and do a potential sell signal confirming, that's not good. But it could be good if they stay above the T-line and get to new highs. But before we get there, we got another strong sell signal and a close below the T-line. We should be thinking that. The bears are definitely taking control in this area. Notice the little gap up in the NASDAQ. Didn't close below the T-line. But today, even though it came back up above the T-line, still did a bearish left-right combo. May not be telling us that the uptrend is over, but it's probably giving a good indication that the majority of this uptrend is over. So it'll be very important to see what the pre-market futures tell us in the morning when we get up. So there's two things to be ready for up here. Let's say we wake up and it's showing the NASDAQ is opening up here. That's good. But we should also be aware that if it comes back down through today's close, what type of candle is it forming? Another bearish candle. So is that the Russell? The Russell, same scenario. And look where this is all happening, right here at the 200. And the transportation index, yeah, it's been drifting here now for a week or so. Oh, CB, what is a dark cloud? All right, so with that, we kind of know things are starting to get a little bit soft. You can see what's happening here in the crude oil. I asked about something. All right. I don't think there was a dark cloud in here. That one's a bearish left-right combo hanging man. The Russell 2000 is a bearish engulfing signal. Anyways. Gold. You can see what's happened to gold. And where did gold start selling off? From this big evening star signal. Now we're getting toward the oversold area and we're getting toward this level. We want to stop to see or want to see if that acts as a support level for gold. But the new ones you are showing tonight, so far not overbought. Oh. Isn't this up here in the overbought condition? Up above 80. Starting to roll over. Left-right combo in the NASDAQ up here in the overbought condition, above 80. Excuse me, crude oil just kind of sideways. Probably going to be a toughie to trade, other than the fact that it's had this slow meandering uptrend. Yes, so that's, you got to kind of watch out to see what the actual numbers are here. So even though this one, let's go to something else. Well, that didn't do any good either. So anyways, and you can see we've been in a good steady uptrend, but we're starting to see sell signals. So this is where you kind of use your common sense. If we wake up tomorrow and the pre-market futures are showing the NASDAQ's opening down here, and the Dow is opening back down here, that's a pretty good indication that that's where things are going to start trading to the downside. Okay, so what do we do with that information? First of all, if we got positions on, we need to know which ones are still the strong ones. We can see that PDD still has a bullish doji sandwich, and we're right up here in this breakout area. So that's not showing any real hard selling. FTDR, after the kicker signal, even though it was trading lower today, what does this chart tell us about what they were doing during the day? Well, they opened here, and then they closed up here, which meant they were still trading above where they opened. So even though we see that it was down 33 cents, you know that there wasn't any selling going on. It just opened lower, and then it was starting to trade back up. CBay, still in this fry pan bottom breakout. And notice what we had up here, a gap up doji in the overbought area, made it very simple. If this had opened lower, it was a good prospect that they were going to bring it back to the T-line. They're still trading positive. Still want to hold on to this fry pan bottom breakout until you see a sell signal. So if you're in the overbought area, you know you've got a pretty hefty move, always have a safety stop at the previous open. So when we recommended LNTH today, it was based upon recognizing that we had a J-hook pattern setting up. And the J-hook pattern was further amplified by the fact that when they got back down here toward the T-line, they were doing indecisive trading and then started back up again. It didn't execute today, but if it comes back up through, let's say, 24, which way is it heading? It's still heading in our J-hook pattern setup. Now, that's also going to be a function of if we wake up tomorrow and the pre-market futures are showing the Dow's going to open down 90 points, we don't want to be jumping into anything bullish just yet. So we've got things that are easy to analyze, like Aqua. All you can do here is stay long on that steady eddy. But I think on NVTA, which also had a good move to the upside, but notice how it was getting a little bit dicey. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they announced something, and this one's going to open up a little bit lower. Let's see. Even though the stocks are strong, are you willing to fight the tape or our left-right combo? No, not willing to fight the tape. If the tape is telling us that things are starting to sell off, I'm not going to jump right into something that might open positive. Which ones were we looking at? Let's say hypothetically, this opened up here, 24.15, let's say. Oh, positive. What, the Dow is opening down 90 points? I'm just going to sit here and watch for a little bit. Jay, that's what I thought, yes. That's kind of the blind side information that we can't even project. When a stock has a nice price move, and then they decide they're going to come out with a new offering, there's nothing you can do about it. What you do know about a new offering, though, is it's usually the knee-jerk reaction where you might have 2 or 3 days where they sell it off, and then it will start back up again in the initial direction. So AMRN, when it broke out, it's in a 45 degree. So all you can do on this one is stay long as it stays above the T line. But from what we pointed out this weekend, you want to find things where you know the probabilities of what should happen. Notice where this opened today. It opened above the open of the previous day and went this direction. So when they gap this up, what's it setting up for? Well, we know the simple doji rule that if they open this positive, what do we got going on? A high probability that we're going to have a bullish flutter kicker, which is one of your strongest signals. And if that's the case, what's it telling us about this price move? That we probably will be breaking out through here, going into another wave to the upside. So that one I would be a little bit more, less hesitant that if the markets are opening up down 90 points and this opens positive, I'm going to keep watching it to see if they're going to continue to move it even though the market is heading lower. Things like BE, which are in a J-hook type pattern, backed off. We're still above the T-line, but we want to be a little bit more conscious because it is a dark cloud. Now, this is your dark cloud where it opens at or above the high of any trading of the previous day. It closes more than halfway down, and it does it up here in the overbought area. So there's two things you want to now become much more conscious of. Is this going to open lower and you start taking profits, or is this going to open flat and continue trading higher, continuing the uptrend? That's not yet. GDS, kind of the same scenario. You're in a J-hook pattern, fry pan bottom breakout, but you've got a bearish harami. If this opens lower, you probably want to close it out. Not that the uptrend isn't going to continue, but it may not continue for another 3, 4, 5 trading days after it does some support off the T-line. Oh, gosh, if you're having problems getting check your spam folder, 1, and 2, if you're not getting them, email Abraham at candlestickforum.com and ask him what the problem is. There it is. Okay. Was the one before GDS? What was the one before GDS? A piercing signal. Oh, GPS. That was a mistake because I couldn't read my own handwriting. No, that one is just the fact that you did a shooting star and it opened lower. That if you had been long for whatever reason, today you needed to see it open positive and trade positive, I would have closed it out right here. You could always buy it back when you see the buy signals. We'll get to some of those. Things like SFIX. Where did you see the bearish engulfing signal? Right smack dab at the 200, number one. Number two, right about that same level. Get rid of that one. So this was a good place too. Once you're up in the overbought area and it opened positive, your safety stop should have been at today or yesterday's open. ENTH. There's your left-right combo. If this opens lower, you want to close it out immediately. It may bounce off the T-line, but you want to first get confirmation that it's going to do that. Cloud, another bearish engulfing signal, which tells you it needs to open positive and trade positive from here. ALGN, we'd been trading, but it did a bearish engulfing signal, almost a bearish left-right combo. So if this opens lower, it's probably heading up, heading down for a while. You don't want to be long. Probably don't want to be short, but you don't want to be long. VHC, there's your fry pan bottom. That's what it did do. Came down today and did stay above the T-line. So what's our simple rule about a fry pan bottom? You can stay long as it doesn't close below the T-line. Now, if you're long, where's a logical place to put your stop? You don't want to see it trade back below this level, because that would show you the start of a bearish doji sandwich. You probably want to be out of it. Then, bearish left-right. You should have closed this one out today. Anytime I see something like this, a bearish left-right, I close it out. Even though it may not have closed, something's happening here. Something's ringing. I don't know where the ringing is. So, look what's happening up here. First you have a hanging man. Didn't confirm. Then you've got a doji. Kind of a doji shooting star. Doji shooting star. And somebody pointed this out yesterday. Pretty much up there at a tweezer top. Now you've got a left-right combo. What's that tell you about the prospects of the uptrend in this, especially in the overbought area? It's starting to lose a lot of that upside potential. CB, we'll get to some of those too. Just because something is selling off doesn't necessarily mean it should be shorted. Because it might just be selling off and not really going anywhere. Let's get when I get to the short positions, I'll show you why. Okay, we did CBAY. LDOS was a good little bobble breakout, but this is one thing that I was trying to point out today, that if this is wave 1, this is wave 2. What is our expectation for wave 3? It'll be approximately the same as wave 1. However, the offset to that is, if wave 3 now has sell signals in it, remember the signals are your number one criteria for making your decision. The pattern prospect is just that. It's a prospect of what it might do. This is more important. You got an evening star signal and an evening star signal. What's that telling us about the strength of this uptrend? It's not there. It's giving you another signal, another criteria or assessment. Yes, if pod opens lower tomorrow, I'd close it out. Because what's happening up here? We're getting sell signals. Where's it going to sell off to? Here, 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 here? We don't know. What's the simple trading criteria for candlesticks? You buy when you see a candlestick buy signal. You sell when you see a candlestick sell signal. Facebook, I usually don't trade this very much, but notice what this one did today. There's your best friend, little doji gap up. And what did it tell us about the resistance level? It's not acting as resistance. So there's some good prospects in Facebook going higher. And the other day, Square was coming up to the breakout area. It opened lower and came back up with good strength. However, what did we need to see the next day to confirm that this was all a breakout? You need to see it open positive, which it didn't do. When it started selling off, there's a very simple rule. If you see a big price move and the next day they're selling it off, obviously it's profit taking. How long is that profit taking going to last? I have no earthly idea. You close out the position and then you simply put a buy stop up here because logic says if they sell this off and then start coming back up through that level, what's that telling you? The profit taking's over. The strength of that signal is still in progress. Now we're going to get to some of the shorts, but here's what I was illustrating in the afternoon newsletter, that there were some situations that were already illustrating shorts. Oh, is that right? Man. Died at 35. I got to start watching out. I'm getting close to 35. But look at the hanging man gap down. And then what's the other pieces of evidence that this is not an uptrending stock? There's your downtrending channel. So if I'm looking at this and I see a sell and I decide to short this, where's my target? Well, if I can draw a line down through the tops, and I can pretty much draw a line parallel right down through the bottoms, where's my likely target? Down here somewhere. Few of the other biggies. Labu backed off a little bit today. Could be a dark cloud. Let's make this bigger. Could be a dark cloud, but it also used the T-line as support, and it closed just above the 3T line. So it might not be a resilient sell signal, so we have to find out what it's going to do tomorrow. Roku also did kind of the same thing. Now, if this opens lower tomorrow, you want to take some profits. More than likely, it's going to come back and test the T-line. Amazon was a strong one today. You can see what it's doing. You can see the kind of the rounding bottom. Where do you think the next likely target is? Right here. So this is one that we pointed out a couple of days ago, that people were anticipating it was going back up, so they were buying the calls. But what would have been a much more beneficial trade as far as options? Well, if you bought the calls, I forget what the numbers were, but if you bought the calls outright right in here, to make the same return that if you thought it was coming up here, you could buy the 1700s and sell the 1710s. I want to say for, I think it was $1.80 to make $10. So the same return that if you bought these calls down here, to make the same return, if it went to 1710, you would have to come all the way up in this area, around 1760, to make the same type of return as what you would have done on a spread up in this area. But if it opens lower, is an evening star, yeah, but you're not quite in the overbought area. Your stochastics are still heading up, and you can see the pattern. So, yes, obviously, if it opens lower and trades lower, that's telling you they aren't going up here, that they've failed. Oh, boy. I can't remember whether we were looking at, like, the March options, which is expiring on March 15th. Now, look at Apple. Not a strong chart, but look where you are on kind of this wedge-type formation. Get a doji today. Make this bigger. Get a doji right here at the breakout level. So what happens? Okay, so yes, so they're from $1.70, now they're trading at $4.67. All right, so that percentage return is good, but that option, the 170 to 1700 to 1710, has the potential of going to $10. So whatever that is, 6.5 times your money. So if we see a positive open tomorrow on Apple, what's that tell us about kind of this wedge formation? They're breaking out into the next wave. Now, what's that mean as far as watching this? This tells us that this would be a high probability trade setup if it was breaking out, allowing us to make a decision of maybe buying a call or call spread because we know the probabilities of it breaking out is that much greater. Netflix, nothing. I don't know whether you'd want to be short because you're still kind of in an uptrend. You just don't want to be trading long on this one right now. And NVIDIA, nothing there to really write home about. You had the prospect of it opening higher and trading green. You'd have kind of a little bullish flutter kicker, but right now there's nothing to show any great reason to be jumping into this one. And things like Crone also had the possibility of a wedge formation, but it's still not doing anything. So when you can see that you're in a sideways wedge, that pretty much tells you don't know which way it's going to go. You shouldn't be in this one at all. Now, we were watching X-ray because of the gap up. Now we expect a 45 degree, but that didn't execute today. If it comes back up through this level, now you can anticipate a 45 degree. What was more compelling on a 45 degree was PBYI, because it did open positive and trade slightly positive, giving you a, okay, where is it trading after hours, Bob? This had better prospects of being in a 45 degree. So we started buying some calls on this one. Let's take a gander here then. CRON. It didn't do too much. It's trading within 4 or 5 cents of where it closed. Okay, so there are things that are still looking good out there as far as the long side. So if we wake up tomorrow and the pre-market futures are showing the Dow's going to open up 75 points, here you've got Delphi setting up as a J-hook pattern. ACAI setting up as a J-hook pattern. So the reason that you want to identify these patterns is 2 reasons. Because the probability, excuse me, of the pattern working is that much greater because it is a pattern that we recognize, number 1. Number 2, the magnitude of the move can already be pretty much calculated that this could be about an 11-point move, taking you up into the 60. What is that? 11 points. I can figure this out. Up into the $66 area. Okay, Jay. All right. At least that gives them some cash flow, I would think. Now, GCAP is probably going to be recommended tomorrow because of a couple things. Your 2 plus 2. How did I calculate what, SD? Oh, because if this is wave 1, which is in this case maybe 42 to 57, let's say 15 points. 15 points from here takes you up into maybe the $70 range. Oops. Yeah, now, remember, that's just a quick calculation. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Will it get there? Who knows? But that's at least the potential based upon what pattern, especially the J-hook pattern, sets up. Oops, hang on for 1 second. So, once again, if this is the calculated move and you start seeing sell signals right here, again, that's, remember, the first criteria of any decision making is the signal itself, or the signals themselves. Egan. Oh boy, another solicit. I know we put our numbers on the non-solicitation list every week. But notice the mini scoop, the breakout, wave 1, wave 3. CRTA, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. If this opens positive, is this a shooting star type signal? Yes, but look at your stochastics. And look what you've done here. You're coming out. You're not at a top of a range. You're coming out of a sideways, breaking out. So if this opens positive, what's that tell you about this upper tail? That's profit taking. And if it opens positive, it pretty much indicates that the profit taking is over. You can still be buying. Left-right combo on PVG. Get ready for another wave to the upside. And this one more amplified because of the left-right combo. Rowan, this is your signal. Remember, the bigger the signal, the more compelling the reversal. So there's your hammer doji, Morningstar signal, close above the T-line. Where do you think your next likely target's probably going to be? Somewhere up in this range. And if it's over here, you're probably getting pretty close to touching the That's right. Pretty much went up to test the 200-day moving average. And XEC, for some reason I've got this one. Oh, I know why. It was over on the other chart. It was more of a bullish doji flutter kicker. Not doji. Bullish flutter kicker. SNBR, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and what was the added criteria? Look where it bounced off today, off the T line. So this is the 2+2. Fry pan bottom, big belt hold, left-right combo, came back, tested the right smack dab to the 50 and the T-line, and then broke out through here, doing a doji. If this opens positive tomorrow, what do you think you've got going on? A bullish doji sandwich confirming this move. Where do you think your next target is? Your first target is probably right here. Second target, the 200-day moving average. So you're probably going to see this one recommended again tomorrow. This one was kind of to illustrate that. Notice what started this uptrend, your left-right combo. So where was your likely target? What everybody else was probably watching. Right up in this area. What happened when you got up in this area? There's kind of your dark cloud. Now, could there be more upside? Yes, but if it opened lower, what would that tell us? It told us it resisted up here. It's probably coming back down to test the T-line. Oh, I get rid of that darn thing. Which one triggers in the morning and looks good? Keep taking trades till you run out of money. Whichever one. Oh, let's see. SD, we'll get to that. SD, were you in our training session this weekend? Okay, it's down further. All right. All right. When I get down here, which is we're only about 2/3 of the way through, I'll tell you what I do to keep my emotions out of my trading based upon how I set up my money management. CHRS, another one that is at the breakout level, could be going into wave 3. CTE, big move today. Now, isn't that move dangerous? Going to have lots of sloppiness around here, but what makes this a viable reversal? Look at your cradle type pattern here. It tells us you could be buying this one on further upside, with further strength. GG is gold. What makes this one a strong candidate? First of all, look at the doji that bounced off the 50. There's your inverted hammer. There's your bullish confirmation. This is telling us that after an inverted hammer, what's our my unofficial statistic that it's going higher? 95% or greater, yes. So that one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying. Now, before I do, I would go and take a look at my gold chart. See whether gold is bottoming out down in this area. and starting back up. Tendai. What do we got going here? Look where your bullish Harami occurred, right here on the T-line. Then a gap up doji. What's that tell us about tomorrow's trading? If this opens positive and starts trading positive, what do we got going on? A bullish doji sandwich telling us our J-hook pattern is working. That was the same reason, or the same setup today in Very. You can see the Morningstar signal, J-hook type pattern. If this opens positive tomorrow, doji rule, doji sandwich, you want to be buying immediately. In the same scenario on IMMU, if this opens positive, you want to be buying. And APHA, a little bit different signal, is look where this doji occurred at the open of the previous bearish candle. If this opens positive, you don't have a doji sandwich, you've got a bullish flutter kicker because of the different color of this signal. But what's that tell you about this breakout level? It tells you that wedge is breaking out to the upside. All right, so this is why we're looking for things that have reoccurring prospects. Gap up, strong price move. Gap up, looking for that strong price move. What's our worst case scenario based upon human nature? It's a steady 45 degree from here. Oh, boy. Who wrote this stuff? Terrible handwriting. Look at this setup. Bullish engulfing, bullish confirmation. You're right in here at the breakout level. Another one that can be bought. GTHX. Omar started with the kicker signal right here. Ran into this kind of resistance area. But now you can see it's broken out. Where do you think your next target is on this slow curve breakout after a kicker signal? Still heading for the 200-day moving average. Now, would I be a buyer here? Probably not. I would have been more of a buyer down in here someplace with the idea that this kicker signal was still the latest signal. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the message. The message is a very simple message. That's why we name it the message. It gapped up and then sold off. Didn't quite get back into the trading range. Got close. But what was the message here? Somebody was coming in with great enthusiasm, and then there was profit taking. What do we want to see after that? Well, notice the next day, bullish Harami, what did that tell us? The selling had stopped. So what was our message? Somebody's come in here with great enthusiasm. You want to start buying this one. And now look where you are. You're probably going to be in a 45 degree, still in a steady uptrend. VCYT, not a bad chart. Let me get rid of the, you had a left-right combo. And so what's the one thing that you can notice about this trade so far? It hasn't been able to close below the T-line. So what do you got going on? A little fry pan bottom? Look for a J-hook pattern. Where do you think the J-hook pattern would take you? Right to the top of the trading range. Why is this decent? Fry pan bottom, And then what does a belt hold signal tell you? They've taken out a lot of the sellers. And what's our criteria on a fry pan bottom? If you get into a fry pan bottom, you can stay long as it stays above the T-line. And right now, this one looks like you've got the whipsaw action where they could be breaking this one out to the upside. And for some reason, let me see what I have. Oh, because of the belt hold, taking out a lot of the supply of sellers, it gives you that much more prospects that any buying is not going to run into selling resistance. Big belt hold usually tells you there's going to be more upside. G-cap, again, because of this belt hold bullish engulfing bobble breakout, that one you definitely want to be buying on positive trading tomorrow. An IMMU, big belt hold, bullish left-right combo. At least you know your first target is probably going to be filling the gap, which makes the prospect of a Doji sandwich pretty likely. And here's kind of the same scenario. Look at your big, long-legged, spinning top, left-right combo, slow curve, and then look what happened to the trajectory after this. Started picking up steam. So anytime you see a huge signal, that's telling you something. That tells you there's been a lot of change of investor sentiment. All right, so tomorrow, if we wake up and the pre-market futures are showing that the Dow's opening down here, you start looking for things to short. SSYS. If this trades back below this level, what's your next signal prospect? A bearish doji sandwich, probably indicating that here's your first level. There's your gap to fill down here. FireEye. That looked prettier someplace else, but that's also getting ready to sell off on weakness. Children's Palace. There's your left-right combo. There's your gap down. Make this smaller. This opens lower. Got the prospect of coming down, at least down to the bottom of this, down to this level. Does anybody remember what was the chart 3 or 4 back that began with S? Was it SSYS? Steve, that's up to each individual. If you're shorting stock, you short the stock. If you're buying puts, you buy the puts. And here's Tailored Brands. Look what happened once it got back up here to the 50. Bam. What's that tell you? You could be heading for this direction down here. We did Tesla. Tesla had a very obvious reason for shorting. Hanging man gap down at the 50, part of this downtrending channel, making the bottom part of the channel the next likely target. Kicker signal on GWRE. Make this one smaller. Look where the selling started. Right about there. Bearish engulfing signal after a wee little indecisive kind of hanging man. And now you've got a kicker signal. We could be coming all the way back down here and or all the way back down here. AYX. Look at your long-legged doji, bearish left-right combo, close below the T-line. If it opens lower tomorrow, where can it go? Probably all the way back down to the 200. Whose handwriting is this? If one bearish signal, look at your big bearish evening star signal, and then they tried to bring it back up, and then you have another bearish engulfing signal. So what does logic tell you on a chart like this? Sellers are in control, bulls try to take over, sellers in control. You've got two big bearish signals. Who do you think is in control? The bears. So if you see one bearish signal, a second bearish signal, look at your bearish left-right combo, bearish signal. That just kind of tells you your downtrend is probably heading down to where somebody could be watching to see where your next fill in the gap might be. Twilio. Big bearish left-right combo. If you were long, you should have been out of this one today. Now you see if they open this one lower. And AAXN. Look at your kicker signal. Kind of your bearish flutter kicker. And notice what they use for a resistance level, the T-line. First target, can't tell where your second target will be. So right now, because the markets are a little bit dicey up here, probably want to be scanning for short positions. So back to your question. Who asked the question? Oh, SD. I am overwhelmed by the number of potential trades. How does one make a final decision on one or two? That's what we did with that's what we do with kind of our scanning process. Is each day we can find the best possible longs or shorts each day in a matter of, I tell people, even if you're inexperienced, in less than 20 minutes you're going to have more trades than you'll be able to handle. Which now puts you in a position where if you've got 8 good trades and you only need one, now you can go through with your other analytical process and say, all right, which ones of these are the strongest? Well, here's a bearish best friend. Maybe I buy puts on that. Or here's a bearish left-right combo. Or here is a fry pan bottom breakout. So maybe I get ready to buy the fry pan bottom breakout if the market's open stronger tomorrow. Or maybe I buy puts or I short the chart that shows a bearish best friend if it opens weaker tomorrow, which might be a better trade than another chart, because we know if we quantify our signals and patterns, that the best friend is a great one, kicker signal is a great one. So somebody was saying, well, do we keep adding positions? The way I keep my emotions out of my trading is, no matter what the size of my portfolio, I'm going to pick a set number of trades that I'm going to have in that portfolio. Let's say it's a $250,000 portfolio, and I decide I'm going to have 10 $25,000 trades. What that does for me is, first of all, I keep each trade as an equal dollar amount, so I don't have my emotions in picking a trade that I think is going to be a little bit better than the rest. Each trade is one unit of my portfolio. But now let's pick out something. Oh, I forget which one. Oh, I'm trying to pick out something. Let's say, all right, I find a chart that looks tremendous, or that I really want to go after. Let's say I want to definitely buy IMMU on positive trading tomorrow. But all my money is down 57, all right. Now remember, Lou and everybody else, that what the pre-market futures are doing right now doesn't mean a hill of beans. It's what the pre-market futures are showing 10, 15 minutes before the market opens. That's where everybody's come in and made their decisions about what they're doing on the open. So what it does in the evening doesn't make any difference. So it could be down 140 points right now, and by tomorrow morning it could be up 70 points right before the open. So I'd say back to, all right, I've got 10 positions on, and I really like this one. I want to get into it, but I'm fully invested. Well, now what I can do is I can go back through, trying to find one. I'm going to take this, for example. Let's say I'm long on this, but notice I've started to move that far away from the T-line. Well, I may already make a decision to say, well, if this opens lower tomorrow, if this one opens lower, I might have picked out 2 or 3. If this one opens lower tomorrow, I'm going to take profits and then move that money over into IMMU. Now, what that does for me is things that still look like they could be going in the right direction, and if it opened lower, it could waffle around up here, but I already know I'm pretty far away from the T-line, and I already know since I bought down in here, I've got a good profit. It keeps me from hanging on to something that might be good and adding another position, which means I'm adding more. It takes me out of positions where I'm in an area where I should probably be taking profits with a little bit more urgency and then move into a better position. That acts as kind of a self-discipline or self-cultivating system that gets me out of trades when I know things are starting to look like they're going against me. And instead of sitting there hoping, saying, "Oh, maybe it's still going to go up further," it gets me out of higher risk trades back into better risk trades. Okay, are there any general questions on candlesticks? We had a good turnout this weekend. I guess we had about 55 people in the session. And the emphasis was not that you learned all 18 different signals and patterns. You looked at each one and should have picked out 4 or 5 that you really wanted to become an expert at. So you didn't have to depend on anybody else's influence or opinion when you were trading. You knew exactly what each signal and pattern should be doing. That also kind of reduces, let's say you find 10, 12, 15 excellent trades today, but only 3 are in the areas of the 4 or 5 signals that you are concentrating on. Well, that narrows down what you need to analyze and look at with much more scrutiny than trying to analyze all of them and seeing which one's the best. Yes, you can purchase the recording. Same price as the The weekend, the only difference is you weren't there to ask questions. But that doesn't keep you from asking questions. But if you're going through the training and you say, oh, I don't understand that, I'm going to write down what a belt hold should do, that's something that then you can ask in the chat room, or you just email me and say, give me a better description of this. When going short, is it prudent to look for those $200 to $400 stocks with the best? No, it's up. John, I look at all of them. Now, more than likely, I'm going to be shorting or buying puts on stocks. If I'm trading options, I usually want to trade options on stocks that are probably $50 or greater. That doesn't keep me out of buying puts on stocks that are $20 or greater. If I'm looking at a stock, it looks like a good short and it's trading at 7, I'm better off just shorting the stock. That way I don't have to worry about the time element. But that's also up to each individual. You might want to just trade stocks that are the big price stocks as far as your option trading. Or if you're buying stocks, some people only like to buy stocks that are trading at $2 or $5 or $7. Okay, I guess with that, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. Yeah, so you've already should have logical places that if pot opens higher, what should it be doing to tell us the uptrend's in progress? It should continue to trade higher. I wouldn't want to see it come back down through today's close, because if it opened higher and started back down, what colored candle would you have? You can see that you've got another dark candle where the selling was continuing. Jim, do your second double line. Whoops. You stay long, but you've already got that kind of bearish belt hold. You definitely don't want to see this start trading back below the T-line. Edit. You stay long on this one. So where would be a place to tell you the sellers are back in control? Wouldn't want to see this trade back below the low. If it came back below the low of this candle, that means they're coming back down to test the moving averages. RP, that one I would have closed out today. Now notice you did have a belt hold, but the belt hold tells you there's a continuation. But what's the main criteria? When you see the next sell signal and a close below the T-line, you want to be out. QTT, having a hard time right here. Left-right combo. If you didn't close it out, you close it out if this opens weaker tomorrow, because that tells you they had instead of a breakout, you've got a double top. We did. You can buy this one on a positive open tomorrow. And VIPs, nothing wildly exciting. If you're long, you can stay long, but you obviously need to see what happens here at the 200. ABEO, another one that you can buy on positive trading tomorrow based upon a doji sandwich breakout. Notice how this uptrend started with your best friend signal, your J-hook pattern. Now, look where you're sitting. Oh, pshaw. And right there, if this opens positive as a doji sandwich, you're breaking out. American, stay short. Hawaiian Air, stay short. Southwest, get ready to short this one on weakness. VTXS. I wouldn't be long, but I probably wouldn't be short either. That one's sideways. Doesn't really have any direction to it. Ingersoll, there's your bearish left-right combo. If this one opens weaker, look for it to come back somewhere. I'd be short on weakness. Dry ship, you can be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. As you can see, it takes some good drastic swings. I think this is one of those well-leveraged companies. And Advanced Micro, nothing. I wouldn't be long or short. It's kind of still in the sideways mode. Facebook, we did. Facebook, you can be buying this one because of today's best friend signal on positive trading tomorrow. NetEase. If you're short, if it opens positive tomorrow, you cover your short because you're right there in this area, in the oversold area. I'd cover the short. I definitely would not be going long just yet until it gets up above the T line. INSY. You stay long, use the T line as your stop. Bid. Stay long. I would use this level right here as a stop because notice how it gapped up a little bit. Wouldn't want to see it come back down through that level. Etsy. When it came back down through the doji in the overbought condition, which is where your stop should have been, where do you think it was heading to? Pretty much back to the T line. I'd be out of this right now, or if you didn't get out, if it opens lower, you get out and wait to see what it does once it hits the T line. Land, stay long, but also getting a little bit dicey up here. Use the T line as your stop. McDermott, notice your belt hold. Right now, all you can do with this one is stay long as it stays above the T line. Lilly, dark cloud. It has to open positive and trade positive. If it opens lower, take your profits. SGMS, this one you should have closed out. You can see how the trajectory is rolling over. If you stayed long on this one, if you're ready to short this one, you got to be careful because you're still in the uptrend. Got to make sure that you stay consistent with some selling. Otherwise, the uptrend could be staying in place. Oh boy, is that I? B A R L D A R. Yeah. Not so much, Alex, defensive. I'd be looking for short positions. So Bidu, if it opens lower, yes, you can stay short on this one or go short. Lowe's, another one this is kind of like the opposite of three white soldiers. Notice how they had a down day, then they opened positive, down day, open positive, down day. I would suspect they're at least coming back to test the 200-day moving average. NetEase for a short. No, I wouldn't. This would be less likely to short it here. There's too many other charts that are just breaking down. This one's already in the oversold area. Yeah, I wouldn't go short, but if I was short, I'd stay short. Unless it starts trading positive tomorrow. Zynga. Bearish engulfing. Has to open positive and trade positive to stay with it. Lou. That's a lap. TN. DM. Tandem. That's where if you're in the overbought area, your safety stop is at the previous day's open. I would have stopped out today at that level. Don't know whether it's coming back to test the T-line. And is this Intelsat stay short? Westinghouse Air. I wouldn't be long or short. There's absolutely no direction on this one. DQ, you take it, yes, same as the Qs. Needs to stay above the T-line. TECL, also left-right combo, needs to stay above the T-line. ONTX, little scoop type pattern. Just make sure your volume stays hefty on this one. But nothing excruciatingly compelling on this one, probably until you break out through this level. And Lulu, nothing. If you were long, you should have been out today, and I wouldn't be long or short. I don't know, what's the symbol for Interactive Brokers? No. IBAR. That's not working. I don't know why. Sometimes on this system, IBAR. Sometimes they just don't pick up a symbol, and I don't have any rhyme or reason for it. Bearish engulfing, it needs to open positive and trade positive. If it trades lower after today's bearish engulfing, look for it to start fading back a little bit. Okay. Definitely need to see it trade flat or positive, and the NASDAQ kind of the same scenario. Otherwise, today was kind of a day to tell you there's a new dynamic as far as the strength in the selling. And the Russell 2000 right here at the 200 with a left-right combo. If this opens lower, that's pretty good evidence the 200 was acting as resistance. Okay, everybody. We'll see everybody bright and early in the chat room tomorrow. We'll see you then.